write this book. In 2014, as part of my morning devotions, I happened to read one portion of scripture in the Bible that talks about the heart, in Proverbs chapter 4. It says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I had read that text for so many times, but that day it had such an impact in me that I think I spent almost the whole month trying to ask the heart, the issues, trying to interrogate all that, trying to find out answers for that, and worked around the questions that I had at that time. And for one reason or the other, I shelved the material and I put it aside. Then during the COVID, during the pandemic, somehow, I remembered what I had written and shelved. So I went and looked for the material. The good thing is that I had written it on a diary, and I still had the diary. So I looked around and fetched the diary that I put some of the thoughts that I had on there. And it was a material that I greatly used during COVID. A lot of counseling that I used was based on what, at the end of the day, I produced into a book. So that's how I came about the book. Then the other thing is, why protect your heart? Why protect your heart? At the beginning, the title that I had for the book was Issues of the Heart. Then, as I went on and keep on writing, I realized that it needs to be coined around protecting the heart. Then the other thing, human beings by nature are complex. We are complex beings. And the challenges of life that we face tend to also be complex. And there can never be what we call one shoe fits all kind of approach to dealing with the issues of life that we tend to encounter as people. So there are diversities, there are varieties of how we deal with issues of life that we tend to confront or that tend to come our way. And I believe this presents one of those tools that can be of help to someone in dealing with the issues of life that confront us, real issues that we deal with. And I believe that we can attest to that, we can bear witness to the fact that human beings, what we face is very, very complex, very, very difficult, and there can never be one solution to that. As I said in the introduction, for the purpose of balance to the book, and I brought in different fields so that you can also get the benefit from the other people from different fields of life. So that's why we brought them so that you can also hear from them. So that's what I call the balance that we are bringing into the book. There are subjects that I'll just hint in the book. One of them is what I call the philosophy of life. Philosophy of life. The philosophy of life is based on try to analyze and look at how life is. So, is it okay? The complexity of life. That life by its nature is very, very complex. Very, very complex. And that's what I call the philosophy. This world has got a philosophy of how it functions. There are certain established standards of behavior, standards that we find ourselves to be following in this life. Then we also have the philosophy from God. He also has got a way of how he wants us to live life. So these are what I call the philosophies of life that we tend to find ourselves in. When you read in Psalms chapter 1, it says, blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. So the counsel, it talks about the philosophy that life is fashioned around. That's why also in Romans chapter 8, it will say that do not be conformed to this world. So it also talks about the philosophy of life that tend to form our conformities, our mindsets, how we think, how we act, how we do things. There are a lot of influences, and these are what we call the philosophy of life. Then we also look at another chapter deals with the complexity of human life and problems. Complexity of human life and problems. Life can be very, very unpredictable. Life can be very, very unexplainable. Life can also be, things can happen in a way that you can't explain them to anyone. That's the nature of life that we are dealing with. Things can change in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Things that change your life totally and completely. The big question is, how do you deal with it? How do you rise above what you encounter and what you deal with? We are talking about real issues. I've given a lot of examples in the book. Examples, I mean, here's a couple, they just had a wedding, waiting for the next phase to be introduced at the in-laws. And one of the couple perishes in a car accident, waiting to be introduced as a son or a daughter-in-law. That's the reality of life. That's the complexity of life that we tend to deal with. And unfortunately, most of these things, they happen to us when we are least prepared. That's why sometimes it becomes very, very difficult to overcome, to rise from those kind of situations. Then I also look at different expressions of the heart. That the heart expresses itself in so different ways. When we read in the Bible, we almost more than 50 ways of how the heart expresses itself. The Bible talks of an angry heart, a grieved heart, a corrupted heart, a good heart, a true heart. So those are the different kind of expressions. Then we also look at how our emotions affect our physical health. Most of the time, the emotions, when we have not been able to deal with, somewhere, somehow, they affect our physical health. And I think from the doctor, we will find that some of the sicknesses that we are dealing with, when we trace them, the sicknesses that manifest physically, when you trace them, the solution lies in the change of mindset. Actually, the bulk of what I've written here deals with the mindset, the change of mindset. That is the key aspect of our being. Very, very important. Also look at the issues of unforgiveness, the issue that deals with forgiveness. Very, very difficult subject to deal with. And you find that most people, when you trace the sicknesses they are going through, you trace them, you will find that unforgiveness plays a major role. Someone doesn't even need to be prayed for, someone doesn't need medication. They just need to forgive and change their mindset and their health comes back to normalcy. Deal with issues of peace, the importance of peace in our lives. So these are just some of the things that I've been dealing or I've dealt with in the book. So in a nutshell, this is why we have brought you here, with the hope and the belief that somehow along the line, as the discussions are going through, you will be able to find yourself. There are those people who are very, very blessed in life, who never go through situations. And I believe it must be a 0.001% of us here. That can be of help to know that, look here, in the event you meet, those days we say when life happens to you, you must be prepared. You are also here to be helped, to be able to be prepared. You are also here, maybe you are going through situations, and we trust that through the interactions, you will be able to experience healing or to experience the touch of God as we discuss. So in a nutshell, that's why we are gathered here. Thank you very much for your coming. We greatly appreciate your being here. Thank you very much. Welcome, which is one of my cousins.